Hello and welcome to the next ETCG1 video. And I had such an overwhelming response to actually the past couple videos, the side work video and the bad mechanics video. But in this one I want to cover a response to the bad mechanics video. And I just wanted to touch on a couple of topics and just go a little bit farther with it. And if you're new to this, watch the bad mechanics video to sort of catch you up on where we are in this discussion. But it involves an investigative report out of Canada about going to different automotive shops with a car that was a ringer, that had nothing wrong with it other than a loose battery cable, and they sent it in to see what they could find. Now, here's the thing, all right? And I made some notes here, but there's a lot of you that watch ETCG1 that are technicians yourself or want to become technicians. And those of you that want to become technicians have very real concerns about this. You don't want to work in a place to where you are seen as being a bad technician or a bad person. I mean, you care about what you do. And you know what? God love you, seriously. And more power to you. Because I've said it before many times in comments, and I'll say it again. Right now, one of the things the world needs more than anything is some more good qualified technicians. I mean, a lot of us are getting older. We aren't as effective as we used to be, that kind of thing, whatever, so we teach. And there's those of you that are up and coming that have, you know, a certain work ethic that I really appreciate. And I love that about you. And I just hope that when you get out there into the workforce, that is not taken away from you. Because I can tell you that there will be things that will test you and try to take that enthusiasm away from you. And that comes in many forms, and this gets to the larger point of bad mechanics. As far as my experience, and it doesn't seem to be uncommon, it seems to be, my experience as a technician seems to be very common, not just with the newer, but also with the older. You go into a place, you get your job, you're really happy, you got your toolbox, you move it in, you start doing the work, you start, getting work orders, and you're doing your thing, The whole reason why you started doing this in the first place, you wanted to get up in the morning, go work on cars, come home, maybe work on cars some more, who knows, because you really love doing it. Well, watch out for the older guys, for two reasons. They've been doing it a while, they see your enthusiasm, and maybe they miss the enthusiasm that they used to feel, because remember, they used to be you. Years ago, they were you. And over time, they turned into who they are now. And I'm going to say there's several reasons for that. And one of those reasons is just the nature of the business itself. I mean, these investigative reports talk a lot about blaming the technician for doing what they're doing. And they need to own up to that. They need to own up to that responsibility. The people that are actually doing the work or saying they're doing the work and not doing the work. That's just flat out lazy. And I've got to tell you, that just pisses me off to no end, because it ruins it for the rest of us who are enthusiastic about our jobs. And those of you that may be out there that may be less enthusiastic about it, I'm sure you take exception to that. You've got your own reasons for doing or not doing the things that you're doing. But consider what you're doing to the profession as a whole, and stop being so damn lazy. I'm serious, because I've been guilty of this myself, particularly working at a dealership. You see the same problems pretty much day in, day out. You see the same services pretty much day in and day out, and it becomes a grind. And all you want to do is just get it done so you can go home and do something else. I mean, auto mechanics eventually becomes a job just like that, and things fall between the cracks. So sometimes, these investigative report things, you didn't catch something you could have caught, or you just were too lazy to go grab the battery tester. I mean, come on. Everybody has bad days, and auto mechanics, there's no exception there. But when you have a certain responsibility to the profession as a technician, and I think that has to come with a certain amount of professionalism, and that would equate to just good service. And it's not just the auto repair industry, as I pointed out in the last video. It's a lot of different industries where people aren't necessarily taking the time to do their jobs. And I'm just going to say, just to do their jobs. They're just getting by, punching a clock. You can do that, and you'll probably get through life, and you'll frustrate the heck out of the rest of us who are really trying to make a difference. but you're not doing anybody any favors, including yourself. You're helping to perpetuate this kind of stereotype. If I do nothing else there at the Car Guy before I'm all said and done, is I work really hard at trying to bring you accurate information. I realize there's 100 different ways of doing the same thing. I also know that I certainly do not know everything. There's no freaking way that I can know everything about every car and just the be all end all mechanic. That's not what I do. I happen to be a mechanic who's good at making videos. That's it. That's the bottom line of what Eric the Car Guy is. But as far as my abilities as a technician, I think they're pretty good, and I've got some experience. But I am by no means on the level of some of the people I've known. I'd like to be. That's one of the reasons why I want to seek out that information, because I strive to be better at what I do. And I think that's the lure of this profession, is that you can constantly be developing, because there's always new technologies come out. There's always new things to learn. And that's what I like so much about it. That's what appeals to me. That's the excitement that needs to be there in this industry. This complacency, this, you know what, it's too much trouble. I hate that service writer. He never writes anything up right. I'm tired of it. That's why I don't want to go back to it. I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't. I've had it. And it's just a big game, and the customer gets screwed, and we as a profession take the hit for that. Now I'm going to flip the coin to the other side. Customers. The customer has to bear some responsibility here as well. Because I can tell you right now, if you price shop for auto repair, you're cutting your own throat. And because you're going to get what you pay for. If you want a good qualified technician, if you want somebody you can rely on, find that somebody you can rely on. If you want cheap auto repair, you get what you get, okay? Because I'll tell you why you're getting cheap auto repair, because there's some corporation somewhere that sat down, crunched the numbers, and figured out that this, and this are going to cost this in materials and time and labor, and that's that. So they've got a cookie cutter philosophy to auto repair, and I can tell you right now, that does not work. It doesn't work. I mean, as far as a business model, making money, fine, you're making money, but as far as actually taking care of the customer, your cookie cutter approach to auto repair does not work. But that's what you get when you price shop for auto repair. You get the cookie cutter approach. So you're going to walk into a shop, and there is probably a list of things that technician has to check off according to corporate policy that tells them that they have to do that. So that you may feel like you're being ripped off, but in essence, they're just doing their job. They're just doing what they're told. And it's sad that young technicians end up at places like this, and then they develop this philosophy of a commission-based paycheck. Of, okay, we'll pay you based on what your performance is. You know, it's kind of screwy, because when you go to some places, you know, there's just a blanket price. But when you're dealing with auto repair, there's a whole bunch of variables that come into play, or just any kind of repair in general. There's a lot of you computer IT type people out there that are into this auto repair thing, and it's funny because there seems to be a lot of crossover between auto repair and IT for some reason. And I think people should take note of that, and I think it's important, because if there's that kind of crossover between those professions, then that says something about auto mechanics, and that they are the problem solvers. And I think a lot of the people that back in the day before IT really existed as a profession were doing things like auto mechanics, like plumbing, like electricians, like that, because they had that mindset, that diagnostic mindset. But getting back to my point of price shopping for auto repair, that's a lot of those places that you'll notice that are getting busted. In fact, somebody actually sent me something else on Jiffy Lube, which I'll see if I can dig up for you. Whoa. You did see that there's a bird in here. Hello. Nice seeing you. Where was I? Oh yeah, price shopping for auto repair. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get what you pay for. And you as a customer have to bear some responsibility for that. The good technicians are going to cost you, but it'll be money well spent. You buy quality, you're never going to go wrong. You buy the cheap whatever. I don't care if it's auto repair service. You buy the cheap whatever, you're going to get the cheap whatever. And you're going to suffer through whatever buyer's remorse, whatever anything that you get along with that. So to take some of the heat off of us technicians, some of it is the system in general, and that actually should be a subject for another video entirely, because I feel like I've taken this one on a bit past and covered a bit more than I wanted to cover. But the main point is, you're a new technician, you're coming out into the field, don't lose that enthusiasm. Do your best to keep that enthusiasm, and if you're in a place that's keeping you from that, We have a saying, our toolboxes have wheels for a reason. And as an automotive technician, it's a lot easier to find a job than it is some other jobs until you get older and more expensive to employers. And that's a whole other discussion. But keep that enthusiasm. And auto repair customers, keep in mind, if you want the cheapest price for auto repair, you are going to get the cheapest repair for auto repair, period. Because it boils down to the kind of parts you're using. If you use cheap parts, you're going to get cheap results. If you use cheap labor, you're going to get cheap results. It's just that, plain and simple. You want competence, you pay for it. You want quality, you pay for it. Pay for it. Because we, as technicians, deserve it. For all that we put up with, for all that we have to learn, for all that we have to know, in order to get you down the road. That comes with a price. Just like going to the doctor comes with a price. Just like going to the dentist comes with a price. The lawyer, any of those people in any of those professions that you rely on, they all come with a price. Well, so do we. And you need to give us the respect for that. And I'm sorry if that hits you at a time when you're not prepared for that expense, and I understand that, but if you're going to go out and price shop and complain about what you get later, I'm really not of a mind to listen, because you bought it twice. I'm Eric the Car Guy. You can always visit me at ericthecarguy.com or follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Actually, here I'm ETCG1. Anyway, this is ETCG1 reminding you to be safe, have fun, and stay dirty. See you, people.